I wanted to do this video more like a sit-down video today. I wanted to go over and let you guys know about my tubal reversal whole story. I tied my tubes with my son back in 2007. 2014, around August, me and my husband had already been talking about trying to have a baby. So why don't we try to do a tubal reversal? I started researching. We did everything, and it was in Rio Bravo in Mexico. Scheduled the appointment. We had to be there a day before because that day they do blood work. They do, of course, your whole medical history and everything. And so the next morning I had the surgery done. It was done under general anesthesia. So I had it done in November of 2014. And they instruct you to not to try to have a baby for 3 months. So because you are cut, it's like a C-section. They completely cut you open. After 3 months, you're supposed to get what's called an HSG. They're doing an x-ray where they're seeing that the dye is flowing freely into everywhere it's supposed to go, and it's not blocked in any way. They told me everything was fine, but my left tube was not flowing like my right tube. They were like, you know, it's still going through, but it's like super not like the right side. We started trying in February, and then in May, actually, I found out I was pregnant. Yeah, she's awake. I had my period for like 2-3 days. I started having this pressure, like when you have to go to the bathroom pressure. Like, it wouldn't hurt, it was like a pressure, like something was not right. I remember telling my mom, I'm gonna go to the hospital, like something is not right. I was super bloated, really bloated, and I had thought like, okay, I had just gotten my period like a couple of days ago. My mom's like, no, I'm gonna take you. So mind you, it's 10 o'clock at night, I think now by this time. So we go over and we're driving over, and my mom's like, I bet you're pregnant. And I'm like, no, there's no way, Mom, I just had my period. And she's like, no, I bet you are, I know you are. So okay. And so I was like, there's no way. Sure enough, I get to the hospital, they draw blood, they check me, and I was so bloated. I mean, I already have a big stomach, but I was so bloated, and they're like, oh, you're pregnant, right? And I was like, what? No, I'm not pregnant, like I just got off my period this day or whatever. And then they're like, oh, okay. So it takes forever. They draw blood, they take, you know, urine analysis and all that. They come back, the doctor comes back like an hour or two later, and they're like, oh, we're just gonna wait to get a sonogram, an ultrasound, to see how baby's doing and all that. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? And so he's like, he looks at me and he's like, yeah, we want to see if we can see something already. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you're pregnant. And I'm like, no, I'm not, I just had a period. And so when he tells me that, damn, I'm pregnant and something's wrong, like I've had miscarriages before, but this is not a miscarriage. Like I automatically knew it was an ectopic pregnancy. Like I knew it. Damn, like what's going on? Like what if something happens, or I lose my tube or my ovary or everything? I don't know. Like I'm just freaking out. It's too early and we don't see anything yet. You know, in your uterus it might be early, so go home. And I kept telling him like, why was I bleeding? And he's like, well, you could be miscarrying and on your way out. So the doctor's like, let me wait, it might be a slow riser, you never know, blah 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 blah. Well, no, I go back and I'm like, I'm having a lot of pain, and I put me in the hospital. I was in a hospital for a week, and they would do blood work and sonograms twice a day for 7 days. 7 days I was in the hospital. So because they couldn't find it, and they thought they could start to see something in my tube, but they didn't know, but it was definitely not in my uterus. They're like, we're gonna have to do exploratory surgery. Once I wake up, they tell me that it wasn't ectopic, it was in my left tube, and it was so close to the ovary. That's why I was having also that pain and pressure. So it was close to the ovary. Hi baby girl, you're drooling up a storm. Wait, let me bring it. So it's close to the ovary, but they were able to save my ovary, but I lost my tube. So I was, at this point I was like, well, mind you, I still had a big C-section cut. I was in the maternity, like labor and delivery, which was so sad. They had to remove it. So that was in 2014. I get better, and then in San Antonio I come out pregnant, I think once a year, like 15, 16, 17, like no, 15 once. I came out 2015, I came out pregnant once. I miscarried at 7 weeks. In 2016 I miscarried twice. I would get positive pregnancy tests, and like at a week I would I would start bleeding. Both of them were like that. 2017, no pregnancy. That was it. Like, I just thought it's never gonna happen. I had already moved down back to Brownsville from San Antonio, and my husband was already on his way to come back as well, because we had some marital problems. So we're back together, and that will be another video. And then again I come out pregnant in June of 2018, and I miscarry at 9 weeks again. By that time, you know, we would see a positive, and it would be kind of like, well, when is it gonna, like, is this gonna stay? You know, are we gonna keep this baby? Or we didn't know. So it was not exciting anymore. It was more like I would pray to come out pregnant, to see that positive, and then when I would, it was worse because I was so scared. So then from there, it was just a lot of pressure, and our marriage was kind of like like we were just, it was so much, like we were just trying, and it was not doing good for us. And so we get separated again, and actually we move into the house that we are in right now. Baby dream was always in the back of our minds, and it was just, I don't know if it was starting to cause, not resentment, but I don't know, and I saw it in him, and it was just, you know, hard. Once we moved in, we had already done all the renovations. We hadn't moved in before, because I mean, just removing the popcorn was crazy. We were like, you know what, we're gonna focus on traveling, saving up to buy our own home. He just felt also very lost, and we just started, you know, we started going to Living Way Church. We would go to church on Sundays, and then on Wednesdays we would have what is called Connect Group. And where you go, they have, you know, you just talk, they pray for you. And my husband never wanted to open up to anybody what we were going through, and I'm the same way. I mean, you know, it was something that we were going through. So that day in our group, they asked us, you know, is there anybody that needs prayer? And he, like, out of the blue, he stands up and he says, you know, he tells them, like, what we're going through, and what, you know, to pray all the miscarriages, and you know, that we were trying for a baby, and to pray for us. And they did. This was the beginning of October, and then a couple days later we went to Yogi Bear Jellystone Park. So it was kind of a little vacation, mini vacation. And then we come back, we're still going to church, and we were gonna go somewhere. I think we were gonna go out, and I was like, you know what, I hadn't even been taking, like, we were so busy, like, we were, you know, we were enjoying church, we were loving it, and we had just come back from vacation, and, you know, we had a game plan, and of course the holidays were coming up. I didn't want to mention it to him, like, I didn't want to be like, but the day before I had forgot, like, I'm like, wait a minute, I have not gotten my period, like, I'm late, 5 days late. We were at Walmart, and I'm like, you know what, let me buy those cheapies, those Walmart cheapies or whatever. And that day we were gonna go out. So then we have one bathroom, so we're getting ready, he's in the bathroom, and I really had to go to the bathroom, like, so bad. It was like I was just having to go all the time, and it was super early, like, you know. but I was like, you know what, I really need to go, I really need to go. And so he's like oh, hold on, I'm in the restroom. So I go to the bathroom. Oh my god, this is so weird, but I go to the bathroom in the tub because I was gonna take a shower anyway, in the shower, and I was like, you know what, might as well. Sorry guys, that's pretty gross, but that's what I did. I had to go so bad, you know. I peed on the stick or whatever on that little thing, and I put it down under like a little magazine, and he was in the bathroom and he was gonna get ready. I jumped in the shower. I started the shower. I was taking a shower and I forgot, like, oh my god, like my tag at it, because I put it down, and it was like super dark line. And every time I would test with all my pregnancies, they were like barely there. Like, wait, I see a line. Is that a line? What is this? Like, oh my god, I see something. And yeah, sure enough, I freaked out. I was like, oh my god. And so when he saw that line, he just fell to his knees and he is crying, and he's like, this is it, look at that line, like it's so dark. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like we had just gone to church and asked for prayer. Well, we I go to Matamoros to get blood work done, to get an HCG count to see what my levels are at, because and then I call my doctor here, and he had already given me a prescription for progesterone. So then they call me and they're like, oh yes, it is a positive pregnancy test, because they had done blood work. Mama, your hair is falling off or what is it? Anyway, so they call me and my mom are at Garcia's having breakfast. Hey girly. And they tell me that my HCG level is at 3,740 something. And I freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never had that high of a number, especially just being a week late, like never ever. Yeah, and then that was it. I did have to keep going to Matamoros and to my doctor here. Actually, I went to my mom was like, why do you want to go to Matamoros? Like, again, like just start going to the doctor here. So I did. They kept doing my HCG levels. They were going up. And then like we went in at like 5 weeks to get a sonogram done, and they did not see anything but the baby. Well, there was at least a sac in my uterus, and they couldn't see anything yet. So that was still something that we had never seen before. And then when I went back again the following week, they saw a little yolk sac, no baby yet. So then I went a couple of days later, I think like the end of that week, and they saw a little bitty tiny little thing there where it looked like a grain of rice, and it was a baby. And now we just needed to wait for heartbeat. So then we kept going every week. Everything was progressing. My gestational sac was growing and measuring on time. I think at 7 weeks and some days, I have sonograms all there, I went in and they saw a heartbeat, and we could not believe it. Right, mama? So that was a milestone. Like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. And then we were like, okay, we're gonna wait till you can see the little gummy bear stuff, the little gummy bear. And we kept going every week for sonograms, and baby was growing fine up to 10 weeks. And then at 10 weeks, I mean, it actually looks like a little human. Like, it's like amazing. And so anyways, this little baby girl is that miracle baby, and it was done without IVF. It was just with my tubal reversal and my one tube that I thought did not work. And here she is, dándome lata y dándome guerra. But we are so grateful for this little baby. So my tubal reversal was a complete success. It did take 5 years and like 5 miscarriages and so much heartache and heartbreak and pain, but it worked. It was totally worth it. That's why she is so beautiful, because she took 5 years. So that is my story, guys. And this is her, Liliana Amari Lopez. She was born in June, and today, actually October 22nd, was a year when we found out we were pregnant. And ever since that day, we fell in love with her. Right, we did, Mama. So, why would you say goodbye? And thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. There's gonna be more videos about subjects like this, and we love you guys. And like and share if you know somebody that is going through infertility struggles. You know, I was there, and believe me, just be patient, and that is the hardest thing to hear. But we love you, and we will see you in the next Nuvy Life video, guys. Bye. Say bye, Lily.